Mayor Ted Knopfel. I've got 3 questions. Should I ask them of you or of the actuary?
Just ask.
Chad, the fire actuary actually got his plan out on November 19th of 12. The general on 1/31 of 13, and on 2/22 of 13, if you were quoted correctly in the minutes, you had said that the board actuary said in his opinion he does not have a clean income statement and balance sheet to work from this year. Can you explain what you meant there? What was your reluctance to rely on the city records as late as February 22, when the other 2 auditors had indeed passed in their annual valuation reports?
I don't know how they received their audited financial statements in November, but if we can get them that soon, most cities that we work for, the auditors don't come in for their in-house until after the first of the year. They do it late December, something in that range. So, but what I had to work from, the city sent me their bookkeeping, which there's been a lot of discussion over this that you may not be aware of, that the city does a bookkeeping of the pension fund for internal purposes only. It's not for us to use. It is for their own due diligence so that they know how much is going in the plan, how much is going out, et cetera. We are supposed to use we're supposed to wait and get the audit and then use the audited financial statements. In the past, we have been able to use what was received from the custodian. They give us, bank statements. We put those together, but the bank statements didn't match what was on the city's internal bookkeeping. The 2 were different. I don't know why. And I explained to the board, I don't know if it's in the minutes or not, that they're close, but I don't want to go through all this process and do it and then have the audit come out and then have to report to the state, okay, everything I sent you needs to be adjusted because the audit financial statements are different. So my goal is to have it in February. That's our plan. I expect that it's my understanding the new auditor that's on board that this will all happen quickly. We'll have audited financial statements, and I just don't want to produce numbers to you or to the pension board that I'm going to have to come back in later and say, you know what, this changed and I got to change all this, and the number that's in the budget's got to be changed. So.
To be clear, Mayor, the other 2 actuaries did not have audited numbers when they produced their annual valuation. They produced their annual valuation from the city numbers, and I guess it was the city numbers. He just explained he had some reluctance accepting. My second question, Mayor, has to do with this net pension obligation and whose responsibility it is to determine how much is meant to be paid into the plan. So I believe the current actuary has said $2.512 million is the correct contribution for the next fiscal year. Now, is it his opinion that that amount gets it done? Is that the correct amount to pay in?
So, to determine how much needs to go into the plan, we determine the total liability of the plan. That is done with assumptions. It assumes that you're going to earn, with this one, 7.75 as a return. It assumes on the mortality side that 0.2 of a person is going to die every year, or whatever the mortality. Okay, that doesn't really happen. 0.2 of a person doesn't die. You don't make exactly 7 3/4. The number I give you is a target based on the assumptions adopted by the board, based on the history of the plan and other factors that help us determine those assumptions. Using those assumptions, so the way this works in the big scheme of things, the union and the city agree to a set of benefits. That set of benefits is then presented. I assume they present the collective bargaining agreement to council before they finish off on it. The council would agree to that set of benefits or whatever those 2 have agreed to, then an ordinance is written. When the ordinance is written, it is up to the council then to pass those benefits and put them in place. When the benefits are put in place, that's where the pension board gets involved. Those benefits are then handed to the pension board, and they say, all right, pension board, independently, you tell us how much money we need to put in to fund this plan. They hire professionals like myself, the attorney, the administrator, et cetera. We, using the assumptions, develop how much we feel the contribution needs to be based on those assumptions. That's what that number is. And so for this year, yes, that's the amount. And by the way, it could be a range, because I'm assuming, like I said, I'm assuming 7 3/4. I'm assuming 0.2 of a person dies. It's a range. That's the minimum required contribution per state law.
But to be clear, it's your opinion, your actuarial opinion, that 2.512 million will properly fund the plan for the coming year?
Yes.
And then, Mayor, based on that, and it is your responsibility to determine that number, is that correct? Are you the person charged, or is it the attorney that determines it?
No, it is the pension board.
They determine the rate, they do not?
It is the pension board's responsibility to administer the plan of benefits. They hire professionals to advise them, and their professional advice, my advice, is 2.5 million.
Thank you. Mayor, that has been the crux of the argument that's been made here relative to the current budget that you just passed. We're in 2.965 million is budgeted. That's what the taxpayers are going to pay taxes on. But this gentleman has just clearly said 2.512 is the correct amount. Now, if we look at the net pension obligation back at the beginning of 2009, it was $245,000. But yet at the end of 12, it's 1.234 million. Over $1 million has been paid in additional monies over and above what this gentleman says should be paid in. Now, that's a conscious decision of someone, presumably council, if they understood what they were doing all along. And Mayor, my last comment to the actuary is, I would certainly hope that he can get his report in earlier next year than he ever has, because in several of the last years, the police plan is the only one of the three where we couldn't get current reporting in that year's CAFR. So again, if he could be encouraged to do that, that'd be wonderful. Chad, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Anything else?